Most people today are constantly pulled in every direction. Their attention is scattered a bit here, a bit there. Social media, endless conversations, other people's opinions, fears of the future, regrets of the past, all of it competing for the same limited resource, attention. What they don't realize is that attention is not just a mental act, it is a movement of energy. Wherever you place your attention, you are pouring your life energy into that direction. If you constantly focus on problems, you energize those problems. If you focus on others' lives, you drain your own. If you focus on everything outside and ignore what's within, you become like a tree with strong branches but a weak root. Eventually it topples. You must understand, attention is not free. It is the most expensive currency you have. Every moment you give to something is a moment of your life that will never return. If you give that moment to anger, to comparison, to jealousy, to mindless distractions, then that's what your life is being shaped into, not because the world is cruel, but because you misdirected your energy without knowing its power. People talk about conserving money, conserving fuel, conserving water, but how many talk about conserving attention? It is the most vital energy you possess. Where your attention rests, your energy gathers. Where your energy gathers, your life shapes itself. You may have noticed that when you deeply focus on something, whether it's work, music, art, or even sitting silently, something shifts. There is depth. There is clarity. There is power. Why? Because your scattered energy has come into alignment. You are no longer dispersed across 1,000 thoughts. You are whole. In that wholeness, life begins to respond. The universe does not respond to confusion. It responds to coherence, and coherence comes when your attention is steady, not shaky. If your attention jumps from one thing to another every second, your energy becomes chaotic. And in chaos, there is only exhaustion, not creation. Right now, most people are tired not because of physical work. They are tired because their mind is running in 100 directions all day. Scattered attention leads to scattered energy, and that leads to a scattered life. If you want to rise above the noise, you must learn to direct your attention consciously, not compulsively. This is the essence of focus. Focus is not about force, it is about alignment. It is about learning to hold your attention where you choose, rather than letting it be hijacked by every notification, every reaction, every passing emotion. This is why ancient yogic sciences always placed so much importance on awareness and focus. Not for the sake of performance, but for the sake of presence. Because when you are fully present, your energy is fully here. You are no longer leaking life force into things that do not serve your growth. You are no longer a victim of the external, but a master of your internal, and that is where true strength lies. The moment you learn to hold your attention on yourself, not in a selfish way, but in a conscious way, you begin to conserve energy. You begin to gather your scattered self. You begin to feel whole, even without changing a single thing outside you. And when that happens, everything begins to change. Not because the world suddenly became kind, but because you stopped throwing your energy into things that only drained you. What you focus on grows. If you constantly think about what's missing, you will experience lack. If you constantly compare yourself with others, you will experience inadequacy. But if you begin to focus on your breath, your body, your awareness, your growth, that is where your energy will go. And wherever your energy goes, transformation begins. Life begins to respond to who you are being, not just what you are doing. So, if you want a different life, stop trying to fix everything out there. Start by focusing your attention inward. That is the doorway to real power. You may be sitting in one place doing nothing visible, but if your focus is deep, your energy is moving, your life is shifting. You are building an inner foundation that no one can see, but everyone will feel. People may ask, what changed? But you will know it wasn't the outside, it was where you started placing your attention. Clarity is not something that falls from the sky. It is not something you can buy or borrow. It is born from within when the noise of the mind begins to settle and your perception becomes sharp. Most people are walking through life with a foggy lens. They react, they panic, they rush, and they blame, but they rarely pause to look at the quality of their inner state. The truth is, whatever you see on the outside, the confusion, the drama, the problems are often reflections of what is happening inside you. If there is no clarity within, there can never be clarity outside. You can keep changing jobs, changing people, changing cities, but the experience will repeat itself, because life is not just happening around you, it is happening through you. We live in a world that is obsessed with action. Everyone is doing something, going somewhere, chasing something, but very few are being still. Very few are aligning themselves before they act. And when there is no inner alignment, your action becomes compulsive, not conscious. It may produce results, but not joy. It may bring achievements, but not peace. Because without clarity, even success feels empty. Without clarity, your energy gets invested in all the wrong places. You say yes to things you don't mean. You fight battles that are not yours. You chase things that don't fulfill you, not because you are weak, but because your inner compass is clouded. Clarity is not about knowing everything. It is about seeing clearly what is here, now. It is about perceiving reality without the distortions of fear, ego, and conditioning. When your mind is clear, even a simple decision becomes effortless. But when your mind is noisy, even the smallest situation becomes a burden. Your inner world becomes heavy, and everything outside starts to reflect that weight. But the moment clarity arises within, everything begins to move differently. You walk with purpose. You speak with intention. You act with power because your energy is no longer scattered. It is focused. It is aligned. When clarity comes, you stop looking for answers outside. You begin to realize that most of your suffering was never about the world. It was about your own resistance to it. It was about the stories you told yourself. It was about how you interpreted what was happening. With inner clarity, you see the same world differently. A challenge becomes a teacher. A delay becomes a space for growth. A failure becomes a doorway to deeper wisdom. This shift in perspective does not require anyone else to change. It only requires you to clean the lens through which you see. Energy follows clarity. When you are clear inside, your energy becomes smooth and powerful. There is no more hesitation, no more second guessing every step. You begin to move with confidence, not arrogance, with grace, not aggression. Others may not understand it, but they will feel it, because clarity carries its own silent authority. You no longer have to prove yourself. Your presence speaks louder than your words. Your choices reflect your alignment. This is why in the yogic sciences, the focus is always on cleaning the mind, not stuffing it with more information. It is like a mirror. If it is covered with dust, no matter how much light you shine on it, it won't reflect clearly. The dust is your compulsions, your attachments, your identifications. The more you clean it, the more clearly life reflects itself back to you, and in that reflection, the right action naturally arises. You don't have to force it. You don't have to overthink. Life becomes a dance, not a struggle. With inner clarity, your relationships change. You no longer react from wounds. You respond from awareness. You no longer try to control others. You become responsible for your own energy. You listen deeply. You speak truthfully. You set boundaries without guilt, because now your actions are not coming from fear or insecurity. They are rooted in understanding. You begin to value your peace over proving your point. You begin to protect your energy without needing to explain yourself. This is not withdrawal. This is wisdom. Clarity also brings freedom. Freedom from overthinking, from unnecessary drama, from living by other people's expectations. You begin to live by your own inner knowing. You trust yourself. You respect your own journey. And most importantly, you stop running. Because now, you are not escaping life, you are engaging with it fully, with eyes open, with heart awake, with energy aligned, and that makes all the difference. You are not the chaos, you are the creator. But most people have forgotten this. They have begun to identify so deeply with the noise in their heads, the turbulence in their emotions, and the unpredictability of life around them that they have mistaken all of that for who they are. When the mind is restless, they say, "I am anxious." When a situation doesn't go their way, they say, "I am broken." But this is not the truth. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are not the situations. You are the one who experiences them. You are the still center around which all this movement happens. It is easy to lose yourself in the chaos because the chaos is loud. The mind keeps speaking, and the world keeps reacting. Expectations, fears, comparisons, regrets, they all scream for your attention, and if you are not conscious, you begin to follow that noise. You begin to act from it, think from it, and even define yourself through it. That is when life starts to feel overwhelming. That is when you begin to believe you have no control. But if you take a step back and simply observe, you will see something very powerful. The chaos is not you. It is happening around you and sometimes within you, but you are the space in which it all unfolds. The moment you remember that you are the creator, not the chaos, your relationship with life shifts. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop being a victim of circumstances and begin to participate consciously. Even in the middle of confusion, you can find clarity, because clarity is not always about having the perfect plan. It is about knowing who you are amidst the imperfection. When you realize that you are the creator of your inner state, you begin to take responsibility for where you place your attention, how you manage your energy, and what meaning you give to every experience. Creation does not always look like building something new. Sometimes it looks like choosing peace in the middle of conflict. Sometimes it looks like staying centered when everything around you is unstable. That is also creation. You are creating a quality of being. You are creating a space inside you that cannot be touched by external situations. And from that space, true action arises. Not reaction, not compulsion, but conscious action. That is the power of a creator. When you shift from identifying with the chaos to recognizing yourself as the creator, your entire life becomes an opportunity. Pain becomes a teacher. Loneliness becomes a path to deeper connection with yourself. Uncertainty becomes a space for inner growth. Nothing is wasted, because now you are not just enduring life, you are shaping it from within, and you are doing so with awareness, with intention, with power. The reason most people feel powerless is not because they don't have strength. It's because they have forgotten the source of that strength. They have given their power away to opinions, to situations, to emotional patterns they never questioned. But your true power is not in controlling others or forcing outcomes. It is in mastering your own response. It is in choosing where to focus your mind, how to manage your breath, and how to keep your energy balanced in a chaotic world. This is why stillness is not weakness. Silence is not absence. When you sit quietly and connect with your inner self, you are not doing nothing. You are aligning with the source of creation itself. That stillness is what gives birth to clarity. That silence is what helps you listen to your deeper intelligence, beyond the chatter of the mind. And in that space, the chaos no longer frightens you, because now you are anchored, you are rooted, you are present. The world may continue to be noisy, things will go wrong, people will misunderstand you, plans will fall apart. But when you know you are the creator, you don't fall with them, you adjust, you realign. You adapt without losing yourself. This is the strength that comes from inner connection. It is not loud, it is not showy, but it is unshakable. It is the kind of power that does not need to dominate because it already knows its source. Once you start living from this awareness, you no longer chase peace, you embody it. You no longer search for clarity, you generate it. You no longer wait for life to fix itself. You become the place where transformation begins. Because the chaos is temporary, but the one who witnesses it, the one who shapes it, the one who creates meaning from it, that is eternal, that is you. What you withhold from yourself, the world cannot give you. This is a truth many struggle to see because most are caught in a cycle of seeking, expecting, and demanding from the outside what they have not cultivated within. You want love, but you do not give it to yourself. You crave peace, but you do not sit quietly with your own mind. You long for validation, but you constantly invalidate your own feelings. The world becomes a mirror of your inner neglect, and when it does not provide what you seek, you blame it, resent it, or feel abandoned by it. But the truth is, The world can only meet you at the depth you've met yourself. If you do not respect yourself, even genuine respect from others will feel uncomfortable. If you do not believe you are enough, no amount of praise will satisfy you. If you do not value your own presence, you will chase company even when it drains you. This is why so many people keep falling into the same emotional loops. Different faces, different places, but the same longing, the same void. The pattern does not break by changing the world. It breaks the moment you start giving to yourself what you've been begging from others. You cannot receive fully what you have not yet claimed internally. Life does not respond to your need, it responds to your state of being. If you are vibrating in lack, even abundance will feel temporary. If you are vibrating in self-rejection, even love will be seen as conditional. The way you treat yourself sets the tone for every experience you attract. And this treatment is not just about surface-level self-care. It is about the way you speak to yourself when you are alone, the way you hold yourself in moments of failure, the way you allow yourself to rest without guilt, the way you honor your truth even when it's inconvenient. People are waiting for the world to make them feel whole, not realizing that wholeness is not something others can install in you. It is something you uncover when you stop outsourcing your worth. When you stop performing for approval and start living in alignment with what feels right inside you, when you give yourself permission to exist fully, without apology, without shrinking, without explanation. The reason this is difficult is because we've been conditioned to believe that worth must be earned, that love must be proven, that success must be chased. So we postpone inner acceptance. We say, I will love myself when I lose the weight. Or I will believe in myself when I achieve more. Or I will rest when everything is done. But these conditions never end. There is always more to fix, more to do, more to chase. And in this chase, we stay disconnected from our own being. But imagine if you stopped withholding. Imagine if you started giving yourself the kindness you so easily give others. The patience, the compassion, the encouragement. Imagine if you allowed yourself to feel enough as you are, not because you're perfect, but because your worth was never tied to perfection. In that moment, you would begin to shift. Your energy would change. You would no longer move from a place of lack, but from fullness. You would no longer seek to complete yourself through others, but to share your completeness with the world. This inner shift changes everything. When you give yourself love, you stop chasing unhealthy attachments. When you give yourself attention, you stop begging for recognition. When you give yourself permission to be, you stop forcing life to prove your existence matters. And in this space of inner sufficiency, outer reality begins to mirror it back. Not because the world changed, but because you are now open to receiving what you were once blocking through your own self-denial. It is not selfish to prioritize your own needs. It is not arrogant to believe in your own value. It is not wrong to choose yourself when everything around you demands compromise. In fact, it is the most sacred act of alignment. Because when you give to yourself freely, you become full. And from that fullness, you have something real to offer the world, not desperation, not performance, but truth. This is the foundation of energetic integrity. When you no longer pretend to be fine while neglecting your soul, when you no longer wear masks to fit in, but instead let your authenticity be the invitation, when you stop asking the world to love you in ways you are unwilling to love yourself, and when that happens, you stop needing so much from outside, you begin to carry within you what you once thought only others could give. Presence is power. Stay rooted in yourself. Most people today are everywhere but here. Their bodies are in one place, but their minds are scattered across timelines, conversations, fears, and imagined outcomes. They live in the past, regretting what was or resenting what happened, or they live in the future, anxious about what might come or obsessed with what they must achieve. In this constant movement, they lose touch with the only place where life actually happens, the present moment, the only place where transformation is possible, the only space where power exists. Presence is not just a poetic idea. It is a profound spiritual practice. To be present means to be fully available to this moment, not just physically, but energetically, mentally, emotionally. When you are truly present, you are no longer controlled by compulsive thoughts or restless emotions. You become still, alert, and aware. In that state of awareness, there is clarity. In that clarity, there is strength. Presence brings you back to yourself. It is the gateway to your true power, not the power that comes from domination, but the power that arises from alignment. When you are not present, you are reactive, you get triggered easily, you respond based on past wounds or future fears, you speak without thinking, you act without awareness, and then you wonder why life feels chaotic or out of control. But when you are rooted in the present, your responses become conscious. You are no longer a puppet of your conditioning. You become the observer and the participant at the same time. You see things clearly. You listen deeply. You act wisely. Staying rooted in yourself does not mean closing yourself off from the world. It means being so grounded in your own awareness that the world cannot pull you out of balance. It means carrying your center with you wherever you go. No matter how loud the noise becomes outside, you remain steady within. This inner steadiness is not something that can be faked. It comes from practice. It comes from repeatedly bringing your attention back from the future to now, from others to self, from mind to breathe. When you are present, your energy becomes magnetic. People feel it. Your words carry more weight. Your silence becomes more powerful than noise. Your decisions have more precision because you are no longer scattered. You are no longer diluted by 100 distractions. You are concentrated. You are whole. And in that wholeness, you are able to move through life with grace instead of force. Presence also deepens your relationship with life itself. You begin to notice things you once missed: the sound of the wind, the rhythm of your breath, the feeling behind someone's words. You become more intuitive. You begin to respond not just from logic, but from inner knowing. Because now you are not living from the surface of your mind, you are living from the depth of your being. And from that depth, life starts to speak to you in subtle ways. You begin to see that everything is connected, and that presence is the bridge. People often ask how to become more powerful, more confident, more clear. The answer is simple but not easy. Be here now. Stay rooted in yourself when emotions rise. Stay rooted when doubts appear. Stay rooted when the world tries to define you. Because the moment you leave yourself, you lose your power. But the moment you return, you reclaim it not through effort, but through presence. This is why the greatest masters, the wisest beings, all speak of stillness. Not because they want you to stop living, but because they want you to start living fully. To taste life without distraction, to experience truth without filters, to feel love without attachment, all of this is only possible when you are here, fully, without escape, without story, without pretense. In presence, healing happens naturally because you are no longer resisting what is. You are meeting it fully, and anything that is met fully begins to transform. Pain becomes insight, fear becomes courage. Confusion becomes clarity, but for that alchemy to happen, you must stop running and start arriving. Again and again, arrive into this moment, arrive into your breath, arrive into your body. This is your power. Not somewhere else, not someday later, but right here, in the living truth of now. When your energy is scattered, your life is scattered. What you call chaos outside is often a reflection of the disorganization within you. Your thoughts go one way, your emotions go another, and your body is doing something entirely different. There is no alignment, no direction, no coherence. You want to achieve peace, but your energy is caught up in worry. You want to feel joy, but your energy is tied to resentment. You want to grow, but your energy is leaking through distractions, comparisons, and unconscious habits. Energy is your most valuable currency, yet most people spend it unconsciously and wonder why they feel depleted and directionless. Energy responds to intention, not just desire. You may want something deeply, but if your energy is not aligned with that desire, you will experience resistance. You cannot expect harmony in your life if your energy is divided. The more scattered your energy becomes, the more life seems confusing and out of control. And this is not a punishment, it's simply the result of a misaligned system. When your energy is not managed consciously, it becomes reactive. It flows toward whatever is loudest fears, gossip, drama, or distraction. You wake up with a desire to be productive, but by noon your mind is lost in 10 different directions, each pulling a piece of your energy with it. Most people are not tired because they are doing too much. They are tired because they are doing too little of what aligns with them and too much of what drains them. Every thought, every interaction, every emotional loop has an energetic cost. And unless you start paying attention to where your energy is going, you will keep feeling stuck. You cannot heal, grow, or manifest anything meaningful if your energy is being scattered by unconscious patterns. It is like trying to fill a bucket full of holes. No matter how much you pour in, it keeps leaking. You must learn to become intentional with your energy. This starts with awareness. Start noticing what expands your energy and what contracts it. Who do you feel drained around? What thoughts leave you anxious? What habits leave you feeling scattered? And more importantly, what brings you stillness? What inspires clarity? What makes you feel whole again? These are not just emotional experiences, they are energetic cues. Your system is constantly giving you feedback, but most people are too busy or distracted to listen, so they push harder, try more, and eventually burn out, thinking life is against them. Your energy is not something you have to chase. It is something you cultivate. It is something you protect. Just like you protect your time, your boundaries, and your space, you must protect your energy. Not from a place of fear, but from a place of deep responsibility, because your energy is what creates your life experience. If you want a peaceful life, you must bring peaceful energy. If you want focused results, you must bring focused energy. If you want meaningful relationships, you must bring conscious energy. You cannot expect the world to reflect what you yourself are not generating. This is why alignment matters more than effort. When your energy is aligned, even simple actions become powerful. When your energy is fragmented, even massive effort leads to little progress. So instead of always doing more, ask yourself, am I doing this from a place of alignment? Is my energy clean, focused, and present? Or am I just going through the motions while my mind is elsewhere? These small shifts in awareness begin to redirect your energy. They begin to gather it back from all the places you have unconsciously scattered it. When your energy is gathered, you become magnetic, not because of your appearance or your words, but because your presence is whole. People feel it, life responds to it, opportunities gravitate toward it. Because now, you are not just existing, you are radiating a frequency that is coherent, clear, and intentional. This does not require perfection. It requires presence, the willingness to come back to yourself again and again. To notice when you are leaking energy and gently bring it back, to pause when needed, realign when necessary, and act only when your energy is in tune. Managing your energy also means taking responsibility for what you consume mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Every piece of information, every conversation, every environment you expose yourself to is influencing your state. If you constantly feed yourself fear-based content, you will live in anxiety. If you constantly surround yourself with negativity, you will absorb it. Protecting your energy means curating your life in a way that honors your inner balance. It means making choices that are less about pleasing others and more about preserving your own clarity and well-being. You begin to realize that energy management is not a luxury, it is the foundation of a conscious life. It is not selfish to say no when your energy is low. It is not rude to walk away from things that feel chaotic. It is wise because you understand now that everything you think, feel, and do is either an investment or a drain. And the more intentional you become, the more empowered your life begins to feel.